Okay, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now, we've got a little bit of a different video for you today where we are just going to be sat right here. There's going to be no gym. I am going to sit here and I am going to talk you through how to beat hunger and get shredded. Okay, so listen up because I'm going to give you my top 5 tips. Now, if you haven't watched any of the videos on the channels and you're wondering who the hell this guy is who's giving you this advice and what the hell he knows about beating hunger and dieting for fat loss and trying to get into the shape of your life, well then this is where I am currently at. I am sitting about 14 kilos down at the minute. I've been dieting for the last 14 to 15 weeks. I've managed to diet down to this point without really feeling much hunger going on at all. And it's just been down to a few easy tweaks. Now, when it comes to hunger and when it comes to dieting, we can go through all the tips in the world and how to make it easier and how to deal with it. But there is one thing that you need to know before we go into any of that. And that is this. You need to accept it. You are going to be hungry when you're dieting. And that isn't a bad thing. That isn't something that you need to be wary of or annoyed about or something that you need to look to avoid at all costs. Because quite simply, if you are hungry, then most of the time we can probably assume that that is just going to be a good sign that actually your body's not getting in the calories it needs to maintain its current body weight, so it's having to break down the stores that it's got, which is what we call a calorie deficit, meaning that over time you're going to reduce your body fat percentage, lose some weight and lose some body fat. So if anything, hunger is just a bit of a sign that it is going in the right direction. However, it doesn't mean that we just need to blindly accept it, wishing the time away, wishing the days away, waiting for the end of that diet so you can go back to what you were doing before. There are a couple of little things that we can do to manage this as you go through that diet, and what I found has worked really well for me during this photo shoot prep. So let's go through those tips now. Tip number 1, this is the diet killer. This is what is responsible for most of those times when you start to feel like you're getting really hungry and those cravings for those little snacks and treats that you're trying to avoid in the cupboards or you've stopped buying from the shops start to creep in a little bit and make sticking to your diet super difficult. This is when you will notice that you are dieting the most, and for me, I feel the most like I'm dieting. I feel at my most hungry when I am sat on the couch on a weekend with less to do and just chilling out. Those are the times where I'll start to feel hungry, because those are the times where you've got nothing to distract you. And something that I always say to the guys that I work with is that a busy diet is an easy diet. As weird as it might sound, the more you have on when you're going through a dieting phase, whether that's with work, whether that's with trips, whether that's with travel, whatever it is, the easier you will find things, because it's going to force you to be in more of a routine, to be more organized with your food when you go into the gym, when you're doing your cardio and your steps, and then everything that you have going on is going to distract you from the fact that you are dieting. It's not until you're then sat down at the end of the day, chilling on the couch, watching a film, or you just have nothing else to do on a weekend. And that's when it's important to know what to do around that time. If you are finding that on those days where you're sat about a bit more, you're feeling hungrier and hungrier, it is down to boredom and maybe the habits that you've picked up over the years where you tend to sit on the couch and snack a little bit whilst you're watching a film. There is a really simple solution for this. Just keep your mind busy. It might mean getting up and going out for a walk, doing something else that's going to distract you, whether that's reading a book, whether that's doing something with your other half. Find things to keep you busy. Find things that are going to keep you distracted. And like we said, a busy diet is an easier diet. Number 2 is water, or more specifically, we should probably say dehydration. So one of the ways that your body gets water in is through food. And if you're not drinking enough water and your body needs more water, because it literally is made up of the majority of water and it's going to need that water to just to do everyday normal tasks and help you survive, If you're not drinking enough and getting enough in, it's going to send out hunger signals as a way of getting you to eat some food that will be containing some water. So quite simply, again, if you notice your hunger coming on a little bit, one of the easiest and quickest things you can do is just go and have a glass of water. Ask yourself, when was the last time I drank some? How much have I had today? And if it's not as much as you probably know you should have done, go and get some water, have that, and you'll probably find that that actually helps reduce that feeling of hunger quite significantly and makes it much easier to deal with. So make sure you're not falling prey to that dehydration and the diet killer that it can be, and keep some water on hand at all times. And if you're sat there wondering, well, how much do I need to be drinking? Do I just throw it back and neck it until I can't drink anymore? We typically stay about 1 litre per 25 kilos of body weight. You might want to bump that up if you're training that day in the gym, if you're doing a longer cardio session, or if you are living in a hotter climate. You might drink a little bit more than that, but generally we're going to say about 1 litre per 25 kilos of body weight. So use that as a guide. Spread that water out across the day as evenly as you can, and you should find that that is going to reduce the causes of, and that's just going to be one less thing that might cause you to feel hungry. Okay, number 3 is mealtime, and this is a bit more of a preemptive measure. One of the biggest mistakes clients I work with make is that they tell me that they don't feel hungry through the day when they're busy, when they're out and about doing stuff, so they just don't eat because they're like, well, I'm not hungry, so I'm not going to bother eating, I'll think about it later. And then lo and behold, the evening comes round and they suddenly are absolutely starving, so they run to the kitchen, they put some food in to start cooking, and then they realize, oh shit, I'm going to have to wait like 20-30 minutes for this to cook. And then they start snacking whilst their food's cooking. They then have that meal on top of it. They're still hungry afterwards and they snack into the evening. And all of a sudden, they've gone over their calories for the day and it's gone completely off plan. And they're no longer hitting the targets they need to consistently drop body fat. So, one of the best things that you can do as a preemptive measure when you're dieting is eat when you're not hungry. So split your meals out as evenly across the day as you can. Spread your calories out as evenly across the day as you can. And even if you're not hungry, or even if you're not bothered about having a meal at a certain time, if it's around the time you know you should be eating, have it anyway, because all it's going to do is prevent you from feeling hungrier later down the line. How many times have you been dieting and you've gone out for the day without any food on you, without any meals, without any snacks, and you suddenly start to get really hungry, and you're left with no option but to buy food wherever you are at, or make something wherever you are at that isn't ideal and isn't on target? The easiest way to prevent this happening is just eat at consistent times. And tip number 4, when it comes to those meals, load them up on veg. I cannot tell you the amount of times I've told clients to add more veg into their meals and onto their plates because it's high volume food, low calorie food that's going to fill them up, that's going to take longer to digest, meaning that they're going to feel a bit fuller. And they tell me, yeah, cool, I'm loading up my plate with veg. They send me a picture of it and they've got about 2 lettuce leaves and half a tomato. That is not gonna cut it. When we say load up with veg, you want to be having 2, 3, maybe even 4 handfuls of vegetables with each main meal, and the lower calories that you're on, the more veg it makes sense to have. Now, there will be a limit to this where it gets to the point where maybe you're having a bit too much and it starts to affect digestion. At that point, you'd want to pull back a little bit. And if you can help fill your plate up more and leave yourself feeling fuller after a meal just by eating a few more veg, not to mention the health benefits from the vitamins and minerals and everything else that's going to be in the vegetables and the benefits to your gut microbiome, it just makes sense to do it. So you really want to experiment with different colors, different veg sauces, throw combinations in together, see what works, but make sure with each main meal, and we're saying maybe breakfast, lunch, tea. Breakfast, you might go fruit instead of veg if you're having oats or something like that. But certainly at least 2 of those meals a day, you need to be loading up on those vegetables and making sure that you are filling those plates out to keep you feeling full. Okay, number 5 is smart swaps. And this is where we completely ignore the old school bodybuilding advice of you just need to eat your chicken, your rice, and your broccoli every day. You can't have anything that isn't clean food. You should only be dieting on clean food. Anything with high sugar, anything that's processed is going to cause you to gain body fat. It is absolute bullshit. Yes, the majority of our food wants to come in from single ingredient whole food sources that are gonna have a good nutritional profile, but why can't we make use of different little snacks here and there, or higher volume, lower calorie alternatives that are going to again help you feel fuller for longer, reduce your hunger, and going to make sticking to the diet so much easier. That means you get a better result long term. And not only that, they're a little bit more enjoyable. So again, you're enjoying that diet even more along the way. So when it comes to this, some of the easy swaps you can do are start introducing things like butternut squash into your diet as a carbohydrate source, carrots as a carbohydrate source. Instead of pastas, instead of noodles, instead of chips, swap them out for butternut squash, for carrots, for rice, for potato, that kind of thing, that you're gonna get more volume, more food out of lower calories, and it's gonna fill you up for longer as well. The other big thing to avoid is liquid calories. So if you're going to Starbucks every morning for your double caramel frappuccino, there's gonna be so many calories in there that are gonna take a huge chunk out of your day and not really give you anything back in terms of fullness. So that is one thing to get rid of immediately, and only taking calories for the majority from the foods that you eat, not the stuff that you drink. And it isn't going to fill you up the same as actually sitting down, chewing and digesting a meal. Avoid cooking with oil, swap whole eggs for egg whites if you need to. Again, you can have a whole egg, there's nothing wrong with it, but if you're trying to cut back your calories, just simple swaps like that are going to give you more calories to play with and more food to work in. And stuff that I'm a big fan of are just low calorie snack options. So as boring as they might seem, stuff like rice cakes, you can get them flavored, you can get some with chocolate on, you can get some with salt and vinegar in, that are going to give you a little bit more volume again for lower calorie options. You can get stuff like low calorie popcorn. Like 20 grams of low calorie popcorn can literally feel like a bowl this big. And if you've got a bit of a sweet tooth, you can just snack on that through the afternoon and it's going to give you next to no calories and give you something that's going to keep you satisfied through the afternoon period. So make use of low calorie snacks. And typically what I will say to people is within your calorie allowance for the day, aim for 80% of those calories from the better food options, the nutritional food options we would want. And then if you want to put 20% of those calories towards getting a coffee, towards having these low calorie snacks, things like that, then by all means go ahead, because if it's going to make sticking to your plan easier, it's going to mean that you're going to be able to diet for longer, get a better result, and also you're going to learn how to be a little bit more flexible within your targets. So then when it comes to maintaining that fat loss down the line, you're going to be much more competent at doing exactly that. And tip number 6, I was going to try and do 5 tips, but I ended up with 6. Who cares? We're going to go for it. Doesn't sell the same, does it, as like 5 top tips? We're going to go 6 top tips. But anyway, here we are. Sleep is going to have a major impact. If you don't sleep properly, you're going to wake up the next morning feeling tired, feeling run down, feeling groggy, and feeling hungry. When you sleep, your body uses that time to recover. It uses that time to balance your stress levels. When stress is high, raises our blood sugar. If our blood sugar is high, we might experience dips and rises in our blood sugar through the day, which means when blood sugar is dropping, we might get those cravings for something sugary to bring it back up. Not having consistent sleep is going to be an absolute killer to your diet and to your progress in the gym as well and building muscle. So you need to make sure that your sleep is in an absolute routine. For me at the minute, I'm pretty much in bed asleep by latest 10 p.m. every single night. I'm up by 5 o'clock every morning to go out and walk the dog and get a load of my steps in, and that routine doesn't change. But making sure your sleep's in a proper routine literally means that you're gonna be so much more productive day to day. The diet's gonna feel easier, you're not gonna feel as hungry, and you're gonna get a lot more out of your training and gonna get a much better result. So make sure you're getting 6 to 8 hours a night. Make sure you're going to bed at the same time, getting up at the same time, even on a weekend pretty much. And make sure as well that your sleep conditions are as good as possible. A dark room, limited noise, things like that, so you're not getting disturbed through the night. And you'll notice that your cravings drop, that your hunger reduces, that your energy goes up, and you're feeling 10 times better day to day. And those are the top tips for beating hunger and getting shredded. Those are everything that I've been doing up to this point to make those changes from being 81 kilos down to 68 kilos where I'm currently at the minute. Oh, how did that get in there? Who put that there? No, guys, seriously, don't forget, like, subscribe to the channel. If you've missed any of the current videos in my photoshoot diet series, go and check them out. We've got loads of videos from the foods that I'm eating to the sessions that I'm doing to my top tips for getting shredded and how to make it easier. So if you've not seen any of those, go and check those out. I'll throw them in at the end of the video so you'll be able to just click on them nice and easy and roll straight into the next one. But guys, with that being said, like, subscribe to the channel as ever. If you like this style of video, let me know in the comments below and I will see you in the next one.